then support with the difficulties and maintenance, then redesigning, and we will come out with the outline, with the outcome. So this is a simple plan usually proposed by the curriculum constructors, especially with special emphasis to this nursing curriculum or medical curriculum. We will move to planning part. Usually, we know that for every curriculum construction or for every curriculum design, we have 3 parts or we have 3 steps. So it begins with the curriculum planning, then we will move to the curriculum development, and the third phase is the implementation and quality promotion. You may be wondering why I am telling all these preliminary things, because the thing we are learning with, the topic we are dealing with is curriculum framework, and actually it comes with the curriculum planning. It begins with curriculum planning and it is developed in the second phase in the development, and it is implemented and promoted the quality assurance in the third phase. So the curriculum framework is evolved and implemented and monitored in throughout this 3 of curriculum phases. So just have a glimpse of the first part, that is curriculum planning session. In the planning session, we have the curriculum blueprint. Then once the blueprint is prepared, usually we will check whether everything is there, proper weightage to the international or national curriculum trends or standards, need of the country, requirement of the professional councils like INC, and then we have the international like WHO, World Health Organization standards, all those things, then national higher education policy, etc. So with faculty strategic plan also we will work out, means whether that is in comparison, if whether that will go in hand with the implementation plan of each and every university and colleges, means whether it is in simple terms, whether it is practical or practicable in the actual context. So that kind of ensuring is done, and once that weightage is properly maintained, that particular curriculum blueprint is published for the authority or published by the authority for the faculty or for the public. So that part is almost over with regard to all of us, because in our university or in our institution we have a particular kind of syllabus. It's with us. Am I right? Am I audible?
Ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
So we have a syllabus with us. So roughly we can consider it as a curriculum blueprint. Yes? Now
Yes,
we will move to the development stage. We have a curriculum with us, which is, we have a syllabus. Of course, there is a huge difference between curriculum and syllabus. Syllabus is the paper we have with us. This is, we can say simple terms, this is the syllabus of a particular course, we can say. It is in a, what is a paper form. It is in a hard, this is the hard copy. We can have a book kind of thing with us. Whereas the curriculum is much broader, much widened thing, which is the totality of learning experience of the professional, the graduate in the learning process, teaching learning process. It can be in the campus, it can be in the practice field practice, or it can be in the self-study session, or in the even in the society. So it is the totality of the experience. But we can have a common kind of syllabus prescribed by a university, but what kind of learning experience we can provide in the form of curriculum is up to each and every institution, each and every teacher, and each and every student. So that is a culmination of all those experience. That is why curriculum development phase is very, very important, because we have the freedom and we have the choice and we have the power to make it, happen in our campus, if we have the will and if we have the resources and if we have the creativity. So that's it. So in the development stage, we have formulating the exit learning outcomes. We established a curriculum design team. Means something like this. We are actually part of curriculum design team. That is why we are here gathered with much enthusiasm to do it. And we will do the resource planning and we will have a proper program structure. And under the structure, we have certain things like a syllabus, then educational assessment methods. And we will check whether the syllabus and the assessment will go hand in hand with the exit level outcome. Then we will check the curriculum sequencing. Means whether everything is go hand in hand with one-to-one correspondence is there, where there is a balance between the thing we want to get and output, the thing, our objective and our final result, whether all those things will tally each other. That is what we will do in curriculum sequencing session. And based on assumptions, we prepare a draft, which is called a curriculum framework outline. And based on that, we will arrange the essential topics. That is called curriculum organization. And we have curriculum organization, means the content and or topics are arranged in various ways. If it is arranged in a very, logical way, initially from a small part, then it move gradually to a sphere. We will call it as spiral approach. And we have different other types of approaches prevalent, but the most popular way of arranging curriculum in nursing curriculum is spiral, because it is more organic, it is more logical, it is more connected, and that will make more sense to the learners. So that kind of things we will have. And we have the conceptualization and design of the teaching learning process. So these are the things we will have in the second session. And actually, then we will move to the implementation session. And since we are dealing with the curriculum framework at the moment, we need not move to implementation session and the quality promotion session or checking the quality at the moment. And we will concentrate more on the second part. Then initially, when we think of curriculum, we have to work a little bit more regarding the curriculum. You have a curriculum with you, and when we think of curriculum, don't take it as syllabus. You can start with a syllabus from a particular university. Of course, you have a syllabus with you. You can have your syllabus with you, but when we think of curriculum, it has more wider aspects. For example, this thing is the articulated curriculum, which is defined to us, given to us, where we have all its important aspects, which is intended, the ideal curriculum we have. So we can make it more enriched and embellished with more practice sessions, more input sessions, more exposure sessions. Then we have the intended curriculum. But what's actually happened in our classroom is the implemented curriculum. If sometimes we can find out there is a huge gap between these two. It occurs usually. It happens. And we have a hidden curriculum in the sense, yes, one more thing is that the experienced curriculum, that is what actually experienced by the learner. from the learner. Actually, they experience something. May not be these two. Maybe entirely different. So that is the experienced curriculum from the part of the learner. And the hidden curriculum, in the sense, we have certain things in our campus we want to inculcate to the students. So it is not there written, or it is there, it is not there in the syllabus, but it is there in the, maybe in the case of like a tradition or something like a practice. So such things are happening there, like the heritage. So it is imbibed to the next generation. So that part maybe they are like hidden curriculum. And of course we have null curriculum also. We won't say certain things, we omit certain things. By omitting certain things, we say unknowingly that they are worthless. You need not concentrate on such things. So these things also should keep in mind when we think of curriculum, not only this syllabus. Then we will think to the standard. Standard in the sense we have, I mean, in India, as far as I know, I'm from education background, forgive me. I mean, as far as I know, we have WHO, World Health Organization, practices, standard practices for nursing schools. And we have certain national standards prescribed by Indian Nursing Council. So we can have those standards with us. And we can have, for each university, they may also have, for example, KUHAS, they have a particular standard list. You can cross-check whether all these standards are there maintained in our curriculum. In the sense, once we implement this curriculum, whether these standards are maintained, or our students will be, after the class, they will be able to show these standards. Then we have this transfer these goals into implementation level. These things are these standards we have set in the book only, and how we can transfer these goals into the actual practice. And there we will use this kind of curriculum framework. Then we have the learning principles. Then we will write down what are the pillars, like the background, which make this particular university or this particular institution unique. And what are the philosophy, what are the sociological implications, and what are the needs, and what are the prevalent practices in the university or in our campus in order to make this curriculum more enriching. And we will have the mission and vision. Usually what we will do is we will have a vision, we will have a mission, and we will have a motto, we will have a what's a goal, but we don't have any kind of what's a one-to-one tally with each other. We want cross-check whether in our vision, we have a vision which is a long-term goal, whether our mission will help us to move closer and closer to this vision, to achieve this vision, and whether we have the set goals which is very close, immediate purpose or immediate, aims, which help us to attain this mission and vision. And that kind of timing is also needed when we think of the curriculum blueprint. So that helps us to prepare for a strategic plan for training. When we think of the lesson plans, year plan, or course plan, all those things, we can have these things like standards for our strategic plan. And again, we will define learning objectives in alignment with the international trends, as we already discussed, and the business or career goals. That's also very important, because it's a kind of client service system. Yes, earlier, or if we can have different types of perspective. We can visualize a nursing or even teaching as a service or a vocation. Yes, it is. It has that part, obviously. But still, again, we have to visualize it from a different perspective, like it's a service you surrender to the society. So if you have a service or if you have an interaction or a transaction, we have different clients, we have different stakeholders. Whether their vision, their demands, or their needs are tallied with the service we provided. So that should be there. And like, for example, at the moment we are amidst of a pandemic. We are having COVID pandemic. So the service is of great demand. So whether we can cope up with the exceeding the kind of demand from the public. So in such cases, that career goals we have to modify in certain cases. Then linkages between courses, delivery methods, and sustainable approach. We have different courses. For example, we have four years program. We have two semesters, or part 1 and part 2, maybe in first year, then part 1 and part 2 in second year, part 1 and part 2 in third year, and part 1 and part 2 in fourth year. Along with that, we have their certain theory part, then we have 1% theory part and 3% practice part. So whatever things we learn in the first class, for example, we will begin with the foundation of nursing in the first year. But whatever things we gradually learn, maybe something like we introduce certain things, certain concepts, certain procedures of basic nursing care in the first year. Then when we gradually move to the second year, that is practice, more practice based. We will move to more practice session. Then in the third year, we will learn it like what's reinforced. We learn it by heart and do it with more proficiency. And finally, we will be able to demonstrate the proficiency in handling a particular procedure. So that kind of that growth, whether a particular course may be there, if it is how it is connected with the different semesters, how it is delivered. I mean how each section is taught in different concepts, and whether that is sustainable in the sense if it has any long-term impact and what is the we have certain models in between. We will have a quick glance. I know you are thorough with all these models, but just to have a quick glance more with this particular kind of phase, I think it is better to move to, or you can think of Hilda Tabor model. I think the screen is visible to each and every one of you. Am I right?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. So Hilda Tabor model begins with the need analysis. What is the need of the society? Then based on, we have certain objectives. Actually, in the syllabus, we have written those objectives. It is written there, but actually it is derived from this need analysis. And in case if we need more change, we can redo it. We can include more objectives, or we can slightly modify the objectives if it is allowed. Then we can select the content according to the need. For example, in the case of a pandemic, we may need more content from about disaster management, then emergency section, like sections maybe there should be maybe included like that. Then how to organize these key things. Then what kind of learning experiences should be provided to the students. Then how this is implemented in the class. Earlier it is like lesson planning, then organizing means actually how it is taught in the class. And when we think of teaching something in the class, actually we are following an integrated pattern. As Sister Principal also mentioned, and you are rightly selected the Bloom's taxonomy, which says that a particular person consists, each and every person consists of 3 parts, 3 domains, the cognitive, affective, and psychomotor domain. So the things we will begin with understanding the concepts. Then we will have certain definite, what is a attitude, maybe positive or negative, then interest, and that may even lead to a change in the life skills, lifestyle. Then of course we will develop the competency and skills to do it in an effective way. So that kind of 3 parts should be there in the learning experience. And we have the evaluation also, whether everything has gone really well. So that is the Hilda Tabor model. Same only that's a very simple model for working out in the session. I hope this session is clear. I mean, we have this material with us, and if we want to do curriculum blueprint, we can have, for example, you can have this one who has curriculum, for example, have taken, and the standards given in who has is also given, and the goals were identified. Certain principles, the supporting principles can be selected, and the vision and mission of the institution can be selected. Maybe for example, these are the goals of a medical curriculum. Note here in UK, according to GMC, produce future doctors, utilize modern education methods, comply with the governing body regulations. For example, in the UK, the General Medical Council, ensure that a number of students pass the course, meet consumer expectations. So likewise, in our program, for example, if we think of a KUHAS, syllabus, we have these aims. Prepare graduates to assume responsibilities as professional computer nurses, midwives, in providing promotive, preventive, curative, and rehabilitative services. Prepare nurses who can make independent decisions in nursing situations, protect the rights and facilitate individuals and groups in pursuit of health function in the hospital, community nursing service, conduct research studies in the area of nursing practice. They are also expected to assume the role of a teacher, supervisor, and manager in clinic, public health setting, and school of nursing. So these are the key terms, am I right? Professional competence, decision making, ethics, research, teach, supervise, manage. And of course, practice should be there. Practice. That should be the first one. Practice is there. So we can say, or we can have a diagrammatic representation like this. Actually, this is not a model in itself, but it is based on the 4 pillars of UNESCO. UNESCO's 4 pillars of education, like what is say, learning to know, learning to do, learning to be with, and learning to live together. So these professional goals can be presented here like this. So these are the things I want to, discuss with you about the first phase. Then it is time to move to second phase. Is it visible? Is the slide visible?
Yes, ma'am.
The curriculum development phase. When we move to curriculum development phase, we have to prepare learning outcomes. Then we have to construct alignments. We have to cross-check whether everything is okay with the goals we have. Then we have the consolidation. These are the things we should have. So we should think of formulating the exit level outcome. So let me ask you one question. Okay, in a nursing college, we have the first year, we have the foundation of nursing. Nursing care. Am I right? Yes?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. So once this particular course is over, what do you expect from a child? I mean, as a learner, as a student in the first year, certain procedures are introduced. Am I right? Like injection, catheter. Is it clear?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am. It's clear.
It is introduced. They may be doing some what is a first-hand experience, but we cannot say that they are practiced it thoroughly. Am I right?
Yes, ma'am.
So we can say in that case, the first year BSc nursing foundation to nursing course has the what is the learning outcomes? What are the learning outcomes? The child is introduced